All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Unplugged. This is season two, another episode. We're here. So I am here with, I always try to one up these introductions that I give. So let's see. A man of many talents. First of all, if you don't know who I'm talking to, this guy was a rapper. Still is one of the doper ones. Um, you are a DJ, you are a producer, you are a talent, is it talent agent
Yes, yeah, a talent agent as well.
in a sense?
A scout. Call it a scout. Let's put it like that.
Okay, talent scout. So a man who has many hats. But I have with me Taio.
Hey David, what's up? That was really good. That was good, man.
Eh, I could have tried better, but just
You did it, bro. You did it.
yeah,
That's
man.
important.
So this is actually very rare because do you give interviews?
Yeah, I give interviews. I've given several interviews. It just always really depends on the person,
Hmm.
the energy, the usual stuff. What you would imagine would make somebody comfortable
Yeah.
to want to open up, because I just try to answer as freely as I can, and I go with
Yeah.
the flow. I try to have a conversation with whoever's interviewing me. So I do give interviews. It depends on who it's from, who it's by.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because you're someone who I think lays low, does his work, doesn't bother anyone, as far as I know, because I'm one of the people who's followed your career and even the career that you had with Kamula from jump actually, because I remember joining campus and even just before
Mm.
listening to you guys and it's been very interesting to watch the growth of all of you even individually.
Yeah.
So of course we know the legacy, we know the history, we know what you guys accomplished, but I wanted to ask, was there more projects after Funkytown? Was there supposed to be more, or you guys like what was the thought process after releasing the first album?
I Well, it was just to release the first album. There was no plan after that, really, because
Mm.
the crazy thing about that whole process was by the time we did the album, mixed and mastered and everything, it was like it lasted the length of what felt like the most genuine and authentic parts of the group.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like Funky Town was Camp Mula as far as that's concerned. We have done different collaborations afterwards, after Funky
Yeah.
Town was released. But I think, as far from the perspective of a Kamula fan and what we could call that era, Funky Town captures that energy. And as far as we know, that's the brand. That is brand Kamula, and everything else was kind of either trying to find that again, or completely missing it and doing something new.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, doing something new, which you guys eventually did. Um, so jumping a bit more forward, um, so there was supposed to be a comeback
Yeah.
because you guys had reunited at a concert, and everyone was buzzing. I think even Steph Capella put it in one of his verses, Kamula wamerudi vi pronto. So it was it was really exciting for guys. So like, um, was it just for that one night, or was there more that was supposed to come?
Of course, the plan was not for it to be for one night, bro.
Mm.
But I think it's very important for people to, when committing to something, not just a music group, but when committing to anything, is to weigh what the long term, what the implications of it are going to be in the long term.
Yeah.
And think in that case, when people heard that Kamula making a comeback, it was more great headline, particularly for the event. It was the Rick Ross event, but it was more crowd puller and something that maybe could be as a result of pressure as opposed to like reflective thinking and this is a strategy and we're going to move forward in this way and it's going to be better in this way. It's more just like give in to the pressure because we're only human, man.
Yeah.
So I can imagine what it would be like from the fans' point of view to feel that they got not played, but kind of taken on for a ride or not communicated to properly. But I think it's also important to just be honest about the fact that there still wasn't any, from a structural point of view, there still wasn't any difference, or it doesn't look like there was going to be any significant changes that would mean that we can move and be better than we were. Like we couldn't step back into it in a 2012 structure or 2015 system. Like the entire our way of working now had to move into the 2019, 2018, 2019.
Yeah, because I remember Twitter was very nostalgic following that point, and I artists don't just stay in one lane. You have to evolve over the years, otherwise you're not even looking at a long career. You can't just stick to like the sound people know you for. You can always change your sound. You can always move in a different direction. So that I understood, but I can tell you for a fact, Twitter was nostalgic.
It's what, I think all of us, look, we're the kids that grew up internet generation.
Yeah.
That's us right here. So I think Kamula really kicked that off for a lot of people, like Facebook being out there and Instagram. So yeah, the people who you do see being like, take a trip down memory lane and who really miss out Kamula are the ones who are now growing up and realizing that like that time is gone. That time is gone. Doesn't mean that we're gone. We're still very much here, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
You see all of us. We're all still quite visible in our own ways. But that time is something that we can just never bring back again. As much as we also want to be able to re-experience them. It's life.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
I hope, yeah. I know that's a very kind of out there way. Not out there.
No, it's a good answer. It's a good answer because like you mentioned, like you couldn't go back into 2012, the 2012 sound in 2018. That wouldn't have made sense.
Even just the system, the structure, man, it's deeper than just us being in the studio and working on a song. Anybody can do that today. In fact, it's easier now than ever for people to get in the studio and just put a song on YouTube.
Yeah.
And what it is, it's more about there's a certain synchronicity that needs to be there for great things to happen. And you can't force that. You can't. And that's why whenever you do feel any kind of magic or what I'm calling this synchronicity, stardust, whatever you want to call it, whatever hippie terminology there is for it, people that act upon that are the ones who in that moment really do, so to speak, great things, is because you've acted upon this rare moment and this opportunity and this alignment of events and people and resources. That's how great things happen. And so 2018, 2019 was not a moment for that. And would have just done a Juakali job. Nobody wants to do a Juakali job.
Yeah. The expectations were the expectations were far too high. But anyway, talk to me about your DJing career. Like how did you get into that? Because you ended up being very good at it. So like how long did it take you to like, work on it, and like talk to me about like just your career as a DJ.
Okay, first of all, it's important to say my dad is a DJ. I'm a kid who grew up listening to all kinds of soul music and Lingala stuff. That's always kind of been there.
Yeah.
And of course, by starting off as a rapper, being a performer, you're always around DJs, but I was never really interested in how they did their thing until after CM basically. I
Yeah.
had a lot more time to myself, and I'm generally somebody who always had a lot of music on my laptop. I was always sharing a vibe with people on my laptop and whatever. I was that guy.
Yeah.
And so after Kamula, one of the first companies that I started working for, or one of the first companies that actually hired me, What's Good Studios, shout out to What's Good Studios. There was one of these days we were doing an activation for one of these brands that we represented, or that we were the advertising agency for.
Yeah.
And the DJ, it was actually Savannah, the brand of Savannah, that the cider. And the DJ didn't show up for an activation. And so it was one of those things where my boss asked me, she's like, listen, the guy hasn't showed up. There's an aux cable right there. Just plug in and do your thing. I'm like, all I've got is iTunes, but let's see how it goes. And I'm telling you, by the end of, we were by the beach. Okay, that helped a lot. But by the end of that kind of 1.5 hour set, people were like, no. This stuff that you're playing, and that kind of encouragement just made me be like, okay, this is worth probably taking a bit more seriously. So as soon as I got back to Nairobi, I reached out to a friend of mine, Fuzak, a local DJ, Fuzak, Akash, and I was like, just point me in the right direction, point me in the right direction, and I'm going to lock myself in and just learn how to do this thing. And that's what I did. So long story short, I feel it was just me pursuing something that was really naturally what I do, which is collect a lot of music. I like listening to a lot of music. So what I wanted to learn how to do was to share that music with other people in a way that was presentable, not just like end song skips. So I was like, I wanted to learn how to do that, and I put in the hours into that. And thankfully as well, like the network of friends that I have who are DJs, some of them would give me an opportunity, like at the beginning of a show or the end of a show, come and try out. Or like somebody like Zelalem, who's a legendary DJ in the city. I'm sure you know him.
Yeah.
Giving me an opportunity to play at Havana, for the early dinner hours. Just that experience has really helped. And over time with DJing, it's just that you become more familiar with your workflow, and you feel the pressure a lot less, because you know that you've already put in the work to kind of like deliver on the songs and the story that you're trying to tell. So just as we end that part, but when I played Boiler Room, for me, that was the peak, of course, the climax of my DJ career, because of the fact that it's a stage that I've been watching for so long, and I just wanted to be able to tell a story on there, and to finally get an opportunity to do that, and now to be doing the same on radio. It's all about storytelling, and that's what all along, I guess I was trying to do, in no matter what way, is just to tell stories. And that maybe that has helped with the DJing thing, because that might make me sound a little bit more different, because my story is more defined, or it has this kind of tone, whatever. But it's what I do, and I'm gonna always do that.
All right.
I love telling. Yeah, man.
That's fair. That's fair. What about the production aspect? Did that start while you were still in CM, or did that also pick up after leaving CM?
That picked up after leaving CM, as far as the technical ability, but I was always working alongside Marcus. Shout out to Kus, the genius, always working alongside him, developing melodies and figuring stuff out. But I didn't technically understand what was going on. So I would say that me taking on production and sound engineering was out of necessity. And then just sort of me understanding as well that I was young enough that I could put in the time to kind of just learn what it was all about. So once again, I just threw myself in the deep end. I'm like, let me just try and get as much direction and guidance on it as possible. And then after that, just put in the work in the background. And so, but production is the deepest. DJing is challenging, but production is very, very deep, because of the endless possibilities about how you can go about it. So I think,
and it helps to be a creative.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Ongoing. That one is for life. more than anything. I think production, you never really complete learning stuff from it. So yeah, it was out of necessity. And once again, like for me, the biggest game changer when it came down to production was Coke Studio, because of the fact that
Yeah.
I was getting to witness other producers, these top African producers, do their thing, like start a song from scratch, walk with them through their entire process, and end up with this song that just because, the reason that was so important is because I got to understand what it takes to make the hit songs. And sometimes it's not as complicated as people think. It's more just about learning a certain set of formulas and then having fun expressing yourself within that. So like learn the methodology, and then from there you can come up with your own way of of fitting within it. So yeah, production ongoing, and actually it's something that I want to take a lot more seriously. It's very time consuming,
Yeah.
or demanding,
I can
but
imagine. I can imagine.
yeah, but I want to do it more. In fact, that's lockdown is the one that has made me realize that production is in the heart, bro. Yeah, so should expect more from that. People hit me up for songs and stuff. I need to,
Yeah.
and I've made songs, I've made commercials, a few of them, and I want to do it more. So coming soon, coming soon, David. More productions.
All right. Let's switch back to the artist side for a second. Na
Yeah.
nikusumbue, because where's the follow-up for Man-Made Machine?
1 second. Sure, I'm gonna call you back. Yeah. Sorry, just give me a second. Man-Made Machine doesn't have a follow-up yet, because see, Man-Made Machine was a collector's item, man. It was a one of a kind. I wanted it to stand alone.
True, because even sonically, yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Jazz Odongo, shout out to Kagwe Mungai. Miramaru was one of the songs on their producers that had a song on there. Anyway, so basically just know that whatever the next project is going to be in my opinion, is going to be stellar, because of the fact that it will be a culmination of not only all the experiences and the stories, but now me having these new skills, me being able to sit with a producer or an engineer if need be, and shape it exactly how I want, will mean that the next project will be the purest version of myself for my fans that I've always wanted to give. So I think also Man-Made Machine came out at a time before it got really busy, before the market got really saturated.
Yeah.
There's a lot of music out now. And so there's also that general thought of, even if I put out a project now, it really does cost a lot to make sure that it stays top of mind for people. So I would rather wait it out for a little bit and put out a project which I'm like, this is the strongest version of it, and let people really enjoy this. And then, I don't know, I prefer less is more, is what I'm trying to say. And I want the next one to be even better. And I'm not yet there.
Okay, which is fine, because I I still listen to Man-Made Machine occasionally, and
thank you, man.
The sound, looking back on 2014, when very few acts were putting out something unique, that felt unique at the time. And you were right, like there was, like at the time, the market wasn't as what's the word, saturated. It wasn't as, so yeah, I think that stands out. The production is really good. I yeah. So yeah, you take your time with it, because you're busy, because there's a lot of stuff you're doing, and which leads me to my next question, which is about Snapchats. Was it a gap you had identified, or what led you to coming up with Snapchats? Of course, partnering with
with Ian Plasky.
Yeah.
To be honest, man, it's because we've grown up in the industry. He's a producer. I'm a producer as well, a musician, a rapper, all those things. So we've grown up in the industry and we've been around the conversations that happen. I know for me personally, as part of Kamula, the challenges that we were facing just understanding what exactly was happening when it came down to royalty distribution, but not only that, just monitoring, just tracking, it always felt like there was it was beyond some kind of glass wall or something. And for him, Ian, he's a software engineer, he's a techie, he's a full-on techie. So when him and I met up, we made a song before. When him and I met up just to talk to each other about music, because we ended up finding out we met each other in a gym and we found out that like we live in the same hood, da da da. So we set up a meeting.
Yeah.
So when we met up to talk and stuff, it was like we shared each other's ideas with each other. And it was like it's crazy that there were similar problems that we wanted to solve. And so we put together a plan essentially, and it ended up becoming Sanat Charts because we felt that that would be the first thing that we wanted to kind of address is the question of whether Kenyan music is being played enough on the radio, like being given airplay full stop. And so Sanat Charts was kind of born just to represent that, to represent what's going on, the transparency to what's going on within the industry as far as airplay goes, and as well as to be able to identify who these individuals are, the artists are, who are really actually like shaping the Kenyan sound and shaping our narrative. So that's a longer version of how it all came to be, but it was just because of trying to solve the problem of what's going on, can we see, and that's how it was born.
Okay. Okay, that's very interesting. That's very interesting. So like what's your vision for um like Sanachats? Because we don't have essentially we're not even like SA. I think SA has their own like billboard, and Kenya doesn't really have like its own billboard charts. So do you want it to like follow that model of like eventually becoming like billboard, or just be its own unique thing?
I mean, I think Billboard does a really good job, and it being like kind of the pioneering, the authority when it comes to American music and starting. And for us, it's like we appreciate and we admire their model, but of course, what we're representing is an entirely different territory. That's what's more important to us is what it means for Kenyans. It's not a new thing. A chart is not by any means new, but it's the fact that now we feel it's time for Kenya and Kenyans to take the music industry a bit more seriously by actually providing data and being able to to tell people this is what your investment is becoming like. This is how much it's grown. You've now gotten X amount in the past 6 months because of this song, which means you working with this, so through that, through the data, we're able quickly to tell stories which we feel will not only encourage and motivate artists to keep on putting music out, but also more importantly to inform the Kenyan listener, the audience, what's going on, so that we can support artists, man, so that we can fall in love with our industry, because that's the only way it's gonna grow.
All right. All right. Let's move away from music a bit. Your IG.
Yeah, man.
I enjoy, looking at people's Instagrams of being positive, being encouraging mental health conversations, or even encouraging people to, take care of their mental health. The positivity on your Instagram and the quotes that you come up with. I don't necessarily want to ask like where that came from, but like even the quotes, like talk to me about your mental health, as far as you CM, it ended, I would say amicably. Like everyone just, decided we're all gonna go do our thing.
Yeah.
And so was there a point where your mental health wasn't as good as it is now, or like
Dude,
you were
definitely.
just
Yeah. Or
or you were
uh,
just or you were just like, trying to maintain a positive spirit, positive attitude?
dude, first of all, definitely there was a point when Mans was struggling. In fact, I think it's just that's part of the process.
Yeah.
There's no point when you're not going to be struggling. It's either like it's a wave. That's what I believe. Like life is waves and cycles. But I've spoken openly about specifically about challenges of mental health and just the importance of it. I had a song that I put out called um, wow, mental. I can't even remember the name of the song. No, 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 no. Yeah, I can't remember the name of the song, dude. That's actually pretty crazy. That's how many
Mm.
tracks I have. But I did make a song, not only one, two of them.
Yeah.
One of them was called 25.
Yeah.
Mental Wealth. Mental Wealth was the other one. I couldn't
Yeah.
remember because I also deleted my SoundCloud, but that's
Mm.
a story for the day.
Mm.
But I think the reason why I've somebody who has chosen to be open, to speak openly about it, is because of the fact that I think people take things too seriously. Nairobi is a very intense city, and depending on what you do and the age you're at
Yeah.
and the people around, some things can be kind of in, intensified, blown out of
Mm.
proportion, magnified,
Mm.
whatever you want to
Mm.
call it.
Mm.
That has effects on you. Like a person can begin doubting themselves
Yeah.
and all, and that's in itself an entire roller coaster of just like negative emotions. So what I try to
Mm.
do basically is through my music, I try to speak openly about what it is that I'm going through. And on my social media pages as well,
Yeah.
I try to show people what it's actually like to be this quote unquote person, this figure that
Mm.
they've seen in the public light evolve, like to
Yeah.
show that I'm human, but at the same time, it's like I'm somebody who has decided
Mm.
that despite it all, I want to come out on top. Like I'm somebody who wants to um, fulfill
Yeah.
everything that I want to do it regardless. So it's more just encouraging other people to also believe in themselves fully and to seek excellence, to become that version of themselves they know they want to become,
Mm.
regardless of what it's gonna take or who might not believe it's possible. But if you believe it's possible, that's all that matters because it's the only life you have, as far as we know. So that's that's where my mentality with my social media comes from. It's like, listen guys, we can do it. I'm doing it, you can do it. Let's keep on moving, because social media in and of itself is just such a small piece of the entire picture, you know.
Mm.
So if we get to just show each other this much on social media, that like, this is how I'm doing, this is how I'm doing, da da da, then I want to be at least like giving people a dose of like, you're awesome, you can do it too,
Yeah.
manage to do it, just keep on going, because we all just gotta grind. It all comes down to putting in the work. If you don't like yourself, you gotta sit with yourself,
Yeah.
and so on and so forth. So that's where I come from with it.
100% correct. On you have to sit with yourself because uh yeah, that's a very good point. That's a very good point. Now, um, pre-global situation that's ongoing.
Hmm.
What, without revealing too much, what were your like? Did you have detailed plans on what you wanted to do this year to accomplish, or you were just gonna continue doing what you were doing, which is production, DJing, gigs, maybe even music?
The most important thing was to build a company,
Mm.
to build Sanachat, that, and we still continue to do that. Fortunately, because it's online, it's just the limitation now of cash flow. Obviously,
Mm.
everybody's having that challenge, or just you don't have as much to invest in.
Yeah.
But beyond that, the biggest priority was to make sure that Sanaa is in a place that people can really understand what it's about and start using it, because we feel that Kenya right now is on that point.
Mm.
There's a lot of amazing musicians, great videographers, great stylists. I mean, the industry before Rona and even now, as far as the energy, but it's ripe. It's ripe for us to move on to that next stage. So we wanted to, or we are making sure that the company's set and ready for that, so that we can reflect this
Yeah.
renaissance that's happening.
Yeah.
Over and beyond that, it was as well just to kind of lock myself into radio and really get to grow a community, like a community of listeners that appreciate the music, the energy, that at least I try to bring on Tasty Sounds, because I know whenever I DJ, like out
Yeah.
in public stuff, people will always come, well, not everybody, but some people will always come up to me and ask where they can experience, it's not necessarily me, it's the energy of the music that I bring forward. So it was important for me this year as well, just to like get my formula together for radio, so that that community that I'm trying to grow can feel like they're being taken care of, because I know that people like that kind of music that I play.
Yeah.
So those are the two things that I more than anything wanted to get done in 2020, and I'm gonna get done in 2020. Yeah,
And still moving into 2021.
absolutely. Yeah, for life, really. Yeah.
No, it's good. It's good. I believe that if you found your passion, something you want to do for the rest of your life this early, that's really, it's really admirable, because I think, and I've had this conversation with a few artists, in that this generation, our generation, is kind of like, I don't know whether to describe it as the middle child, because we we know the OGs. We know all those guys from, the last decade, and we're kind of now seeing guys who are gonna do music for the next decade also, like, coming in, and hopefully having long careers. So do you feel as though, like us this generation is like a middle child, or like the big bro? Because big bro, in a sense of, guys who are coming up behind us, the sound is going to be different. We've also had our own different sound compared to guys who are doing it 10, 15, 20 years prior.
Yeah.
So like, just give me your overall thoughts on that.
I think this generation, the musicians now, this is kind of that big bro. For me, it's that big bro generation, that big bro figure, only because of the internet. How recently the internet and music have become this entirely different ecosystem. I feel like just before the Kamula era, when the internet was, yes, you had your search engines, you had email and all that kind of stuff, but as far as social media really being like what it means to music now is entirely different as far as the exposure goes, as far as the possibilities for collaborations go. So I feel like the generation that's coming in, so this is the generation now of Kahush and everyone younger than him, Daddy Dave, Jerome, KE. There's a lot of them, Beatty.
Yeah, yeah,
I feel like they're gonna be operating from a space where they don't necessarily make music that's Kenyan. They just happen to be Kenyan, which is something that it was a conversation that always came up with Kamula. We
yeah.
always kind of had that, that
An
it's
unfair tag. It was an unfair tag. Looking back now, yeah, I
just
think
what it
guys.
is.
I think it was just more of not accepting change. So
Yeah, dude. But it is what it is. Like
yeah,
ultimately, I understand it. You see, Kamula was, for lack of a better term, that
mm,
the Barbie squad. The first official Barbie squad that came out and
mm,
kind of blew like that. So I feel like the space we're in now, and with the kind of kids that I know, that the music that they're making, and the way they think,
yeah,
and the access that they have, then it makes me it makes me proud to know that Kenya is going to make more and more internationally recognizable music
Mm.
based on the fact that people appreciate quality and people are actually being more authentic in their storytelling and their pursuits of musical expression. You
Yeah.
know, I feel like people are becoming braver and
Yeah.
actually like, yeah, let me make something that's original in this way. Like, shout out to King Kaka. Somebody like King Kaka when he made the track Wajinga Nyinyi, Wajinga
Mm.
Sisi, call it
Mm.
Sisi Nyinyi, it's us anyway.
Mm.
Um, just that kind of that takes bravery, it takes courage. And there's
Yeah.
so many musicians who somebody like Owen, there's a musician I know called Owen who's just about to drop an album. He's somebody who's so authentic. His sound is so authentic.
Mm.
So there's a lot of great talent, and I feel like this generation now that's coming up is going to be the ambassadors that we really want. And 2 to 3 years from now, music is going to be, I think, one of the biggest generators, dude, or
Yeah.
at least, yeah, it's going to be one of the biggest industries that contributes to the GDP overall. I think for Kenya, this tourism, music, I think is definitely going to be a part of it, just because of the star power
Yeah.
of what brand can be.
Yeah.
So the future's bright, man. In fact, if anything, it's good that Nigeria blew up first,
Mm.
because let them push forward for us. It just gives us time to develop and nurture and appreciate our own, set this thing up properly, and then kind of, yeah, and then just move forward together.
All right, Maggie. Last two questions. One,
Yes.
when you get back, when you eventually get back into your music bag,
Yeah.
who would you want to collaborate with? Have you thought about it? Have you given it any thought? Even as you do like your production side at Supersonic, have you given it any thought?
Not look, I have, but I feel like the people I actually want to collaborate with most are instrumentalists or musicians.
Mm. Mm.
And then I'm somebody who I love vocals, I love
Mm.
harmony. So I really just want to be able to rap. I want the stories I want to tell,
Yeah.
and to tell those stories, I might bring in a vocalist, you know, every other song, definitely. But I'm more interested in finding the right musicians, finding the right instrumentalists, and over time, I feel like I'm definitely, I that click is coming to me as I'm going to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's more about that. And there's a lot of people in the game, of course,
Mm.
who I respect,
Mm.
who I would work with anytime, if the song is good. So
Yeah.
that's not even an issue. It's just that now I feel like there's something I see, there's something I hear, there's something I feel when
Mm.
it comes down to the music side of it, to Taio
Yeah.
Trip or the band.
Yeah.
I wanna be able to give people exactly what they felt from my
Mm.
lyrics
Mm.
since back in the day, and bring that
Yeah.
in full force and be like, that's why we've been rocking together like that. So that's what I'm excited for, and I want to have the best musicians behind me to bring that forward,
Mm.
as opposed to we'll see how it goes, David. I guess we'll
All
see
right.
how it. Yeah,
All right. All right. We'll see how it goes. Now, lastly,
yeah,
um, curveball.
yeah.
What are some of the misconceptions about you that you might have heard, or you think people have about you?
I think the first one is that I'm a misogynist, but I don't know which man isn't, to be honest. Any man that, as far as a man that speaks his mind, is what I want
Yeah.
to say.
Yeah.
So no, but
Is
because
that
of the
is
fact
that is that is that a meninist, or or that's something different?
it could be that's what could I know it is misogynist because that's the term. But here's
Mm.
what I'm trying to say is,
Mm.
I've also it's important to know the power of social media, and that's something that I'm realizing, and what to communicate on there and what not to communicate. So
Mm.
it's a great question you're asking, because a lot of the times some of these it's not a misinterpretation, but
Mm.
it's important for people to get it from the source so that it doesn't become, somebody could actually believe it until they meet you, and that's usually the case. Is people have these perceptions about you, they meet you and they're like, that's very different,
Yeah.
and that goes, and I'm sure everybody experiences that in their life. But
Mm.
to answer your question, the first one was that, was a misogynist because of probably me posting about something that could have rubbed off sensitive ladies in the wrong way. Um, but whatever, because everybody's sensitive at this point in time.
Yeah, everyone has their own opinion, so.
Yeah, and and honestly, I encourage people to do that and to challenge and to debate. I'm always down to debate, and I realize that I can't debate on Instagram, so a lot of times you just have to be like, okay, because you get tired, dude. You're like, I'm not gonna just. So whatever. That's one of them. The other one is, I know that something that has come up about me is that I'm a selfish person, and I'm just gonna be very honest with you. But the reality of it is not necessarily that, not even necessarily. I don't think I'm a selfish person. I think that as I learned to love myself, those that were closest around me or those who had experienced a certain version of myself felt like they were getting less of me. I don't know how to explain that. So
Something about maybe protecting your energy.
yeah, that if you know, if you learn to love yourself more, it means that you're depending on other people less. Like not only depending on them, but it's like you're not even necessarily around them as much, because the process, the journey of loving yourself is almost a full-time job. Particularly, I feel in this very like critical age that we're
Yeah.
in the world that we're living in now. So I bring that up, the perception of someone being perceived as selfish, is because of the fact that if you're somebody who all of a sudden chooses yourself, like chooses to be like, okay, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do what I want to do, not because I don't think what you want to do is important or significant or whatever it is, but I'm at a stage where I prioritize what my needs are, not because I'm more important than you, because nobody will prioritize them for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I have nobody to blame about anything. I take full responsibility, and I think that is a space and a stage that everybody gets to eventually, or at different times, based on different things. And I might have gotten to that stage a lot earlier than people around me, or most of them.
And people are not comfortable with that.
Yeah, or just don't understand it. If somebody just doesn't understand, then it's like, well, it's easy just to be like, oh yeah, this is that, and you call it that. But another important lesson I've learned is just to be patient and allow everybody to experience life. I feel like there's universal lessons that we're all going to learn, just by virtue of being human, of being human, whatever. But I learned to respect people's lives, and pace, and I try to stick to the golden rule, man. So I don't think anyone will ever come out and say Taio is a bad guy. Like Taio is this like, that's not a good person. Don't go talk to this person, because that isn't true at all. But I think one thing people realize about me is at some point I stopped trying to. I don't. It's not about me either pleasing you or becoming whatever version of myself you think I am. I stopped doing that because I realized that it was killing me. So if I want to live, I got to live like me. And so those are many words, but that's something that I think is very important. And I feel like a lot of my homies, my peers, or just guys my age, let me put it like that, whether I know you, I don't know you, I think it's an important one that we have to come to terms with. And then you just, and you move, man, and you move with it. There's nothing really like about being alone or anything like that. It's just I have my foundation, I believe in it, and if whoever will come into my life based on that is all right.
True, very true. All right.
Yeah.
Feel free to plug your socials and give me one of your favorite quotes.
One of my favorite, they're all around me on the wall, bro.
Okay, just give me one that like you carry with you every day.
So one that's right here next to me here is, it's actually a Steve Jobs quote. People don't know what they want until you show them what they want. And that just, my interpretation of that is just like, believe in the madness, take the initiative in the madness, and take the leap of faith, but not in the vague sense of the word, just like or expression, just kind of like sometimes that vision, that idea you have, that feeling might seem so out there, so far-fetched because it doesn't exist yet. So you can't get validation on it. You just got to kind of do it and see who digs it. That's my interpretation of Steve Jobs' quote right there. See who does it. No, do it and then see who digs it. So that's what we're gonna roll with today. But as far as my social medias, man, it's for right now. At this is Matayo, and that's on Twitter and Instagram are the only social media that I use.
Okay.
So yeah, man, I'm available on there. If somebody wants to reach out to me, can find me there.
Oh, and also check out Sanachats. It's at Sanachats KE, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir, at Sanachats KE, or just hop onto the website sanachats.com. Check it out, give us feedback, register if you're an artist, so we can track your metadata, and yeah, and let's just keep on pushing. Like, honestly, Kenyan musicians, let's just keep on pushing. We're so close, we're very close.
Yeah, man. Oh, also, Taio and Corinne, weeknights, Homeboys Radio.
Yes, sir.
Listen in as well. Listen in as well.
Yes,
Thank you so much for doing this.
thank you, man.
I've one of the reasons I do this series is to have just conversations and understand that everyone has their own journey. Everyone has things that they want to accomplish. Everyone has a story pretty much, and you being who you are, you have your own story. You have your own legacy that you're trying to build outside of what people would know you for, which is CM. And I would say you're doing the Kenyan scene a world of good, because it's yeah, you've said we're close. We're getting close to the point where Kenyan music is gonna be something so huge that it people will have to pay attention.
They'll have to, man.
They'll have to pay attention.
Yeah, and I love hearing that. I love knowing and so many other Kenyans know. Yeah, so it's a matter of time, which is exciting.
It is.
It's very exciting.
Thank you guys for watching. Till the next episode. Peace.
Absolutely.